Hi guys, my name is Alyssa and welcome back to my channel. So I've been requested this video a lot since I had to change my name a couple times, like my public brand name. I've been Alyssa Sharp, Alyssa Trahan, and now all of my social media handles are the Divine Venus. And when I was explaining the Divine Venus and that it added up to a 6, which is a Venus number, you guys seem to be pretty interested. I want to give you this video to help you find the best number of a name to brand yourself, considering we live in the age of influence, the age of Aquarius, and we all want to brand ourselves. And actually, it's not bad to brand yourself. People are so ridiculous about this. They'll be like,
you're not a cow. You don't need to brand yourself.
But the truth of the matter is, if you don't brand yourself first when you're putting yourself out there, somebody else will brand you. And it's not anyone else's fault that they do that necessarily. It's just that we put people, public figures, into boxes. And so you want to be able to brand yourself the best way possible. Hey guys, it's Editing Me here, and I just realized that I forgot to tell you that this doesn't really have a lot to do with what type of job you have and like you should pick this number because you have this type of job. It really has everything to do with the energy you want to give off no matter what job you do. So even if something's a more feminine number, maybe you're in a more masculine job, it's important to know that you might want that feminine number because your job's so masculine and you want to create balance. There's everything to do with our instincts and how we pick these. So even though this is like math, it's numerology, your instincts and your emotions really matter here. So after each one, I'm going to put a bunch of names that have that same energy of things I could find. Now, some of them have more than others. It doesn't mean that there's any less power in the number. It just means that it's a rarer number to get. So you can kind of see across the board that these people, they exude the energy in their own way because they have their own charts, they have their own numbers in their life, not just the branding, but the branding number itself is what carries the name and how the name is carried. So that's just important for you guys to know. And yeah, get back to this. What you need to know first is that you have to add up all the letters as numbers in the brand name that you want. Say I was deciding between Alyssa Sharp, Alyssa Trahan, and the Divine Venus, okay? I would have to add up Alyssa Sharp together, see what number that turned out to be, Alyssa Trahan, see what number that turned out to be, and the Divine Venus, see what that number, and then decide which one fit my brand the best, okay? And I've mentioned before, see, Alyssa Sharp is a 9, and I did not like that. To me, 9s as a brand name are a no-go, but you know, to someone else, it could be the best thing for you. So I promise I'm not a spokesperson for Cafe Astrology, but they just make it really easy to find your numbers. So if you go to cafeastrology.com/numerology2, it will take you to this little place where you fill it out. Now, to be honest, not against Cafe Astrology, but I don't like their descriptions, so I don't actually look at them. I just use this to get my numbers. So here's Alyssa Sharp. Just ignore all the other information and go show me my numbers, and then make sure you scroll down to the life destiny number. Now, this isn't going to be your life destiny number, of course. You're just looking for that little number, which is 9. So see, I change it. Not Alyssa, I don't know what I'm doing. Trahan. And then I make that show me the numbers, and I can see as I scroll back down to that life destiny, it's a 4. But if you want to do it yourself, you just have to write out the alphabet in numbers from 1 to 9, and then add up the numbers there. I'll show you how to do that. Hi guys, I'm gonna show you how to write out the alphabet and put numbers by it, and then write out your name. Because last time I did this on a video, I showed you how to do it, and then I sped up the video because I have Mars square Uranus, and I have no time for this shit. But here I am, making time for you guys because I love you. Just using a Sharpie. Using Sharpies is really nice, and I was listening to the sound of it being like, oh shit, this isn't good ASMR, so fuck it. I'm gonna do ASMR for you guys, so you can be in on this enjoyment. And if you hate ASMR, I'm really, really, really sorry. Kind of, but not really. You know, Sharpies are funny because when I was Alyssa Sharp, I used to call my fan base Sharpies. Not to your face, though. I'm not a 12-year-old boy or 12-year-old girl. I don't know where the boy came from, but I'm
job. And I can't find why, even though it's at the very end, and it's obviously a 9. No, it's an 8. It's an 8. Come on, listen, an 8. It's a 7? Oh, shit, it's a 7. I'm stupid, I forgot. Oh, and then H is 8. R is 9. Can't find B. Nope. Okay, there it is. Ooh, it's 7. And then E. E is 5. Good job, Alyssa. Okay, now we're going to add them all up. Now, when you do this, you can add up your name together. I don't know why I did it separately. Oh, I know why. Because I didn't have a calculator, and I was doing it in my head. And, I hate adding up numbers, so that's the thing. So 1 plus 4 equals 5. Good job. So Alyssa's a 5. But yeah, like I said, you can just add them all up together. You don't have to separate it. 1 plus 8 plus 1 plus 9. See all that? Okay, by the way, whenever you add up a 9, you can just delete it. The 9 doesn't matter. So, I should have showed you that, but I didn't. Usually you just see a 9 and you just don't add it. Kind of like 9, 11 always is 11. So here, 3, it's 4. So, sharp is a 4. 5 plus 4 equals 9. Melissa Sharp's a 9. Go get it, girl.
Let's get this show on the road. If your brand name goes out to a 1, this is also for the 10.
I said that like everybody who gets 10 doesn't know how to add 1 and 0 to make a 1-digit number. We just want the 1-digit numbers, people. Unless they're a master number, which is different, which we'll talk about, you really just want the 1 digit. Count 1 plus 0 is 1, right?
Well, get the 1. This means that your name, your brand name, will be ruled by the sun. If you feel like you're selling yourself as a very sunny, energetic person, but just in that energy of being a leader, it's a very masculine number. It's also, since it's the sun, it's about your heart. Are you putting your heart into everything? The 1 is actually a really good number to brand yourself. What I would say about the negative sides to this is that it's a little bit like one-dimensional, right? If you're just like all love and light and nothing else. So it could make people feel like your brand isn't so deep, and it might even be blinding at times and a little bit, because if you don't have that darkness too, people tend to get so blinded they look away. At the same time, if you're selling something fun, something from your heart, something very creative, and you just want that out there in that way, a 1 expression for your brand name is really good. Okay, so let's go with number 2. So this adds up to 2 or 20 or 11. Now, if you're 11, it's a little bit different. So just we'll hear about the 2 and then I'm gonna talk about the 11. So the 2 is ruled by the moon, okay? And the moon is feminine. She's also the high priestess, okay? So you're branding yourself as very feminine, nurturing, intuitive, okay? So if you wanna put yourself out there as like a psychic medium or even an actress or something like that, like or an actor, depending on what you want, a 2 is a good vibe for you. The negative of this is that it doesn't look like bright, right? The moon on its own can be kind of dark. So people are very intrigued in your mystery and they want to come follow you, but like, do they really see you as like happy and sunshiny, right? Because it's got a lot of depth through it, but doesn't have a lot of that shallow energy that people really want. The sun reflecting on that is really nice, but you don't have to have the balance. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the energy for your brand calls for that 2 energy. Now, if it is the 11-2, that would be more beneficial for you because of the double 1. So it's like 2 suns into the moon. It would be a lot of power in a very spiritual sense, and a lot of balance comes from the 11-2. Also, 11 in and of itself rules the 11th house, and Aquarius being the 11th sign, which tells you a lot about your influence, okay? The 11's weakness definitely is kind of a know-it-all, and it's not as pretty to look at. A 2 is definitely gonna be prettier, more intriguing to look at. The 11 can be so balanced that you kind of are just like, yeah, it's kind of meh. So it depends on what you want from that energy, but the 11-2 is a master number, so it will bring you power in that area, but the 2 on itself is very powerful as well. So 3 is ruled by Jupiter. So if you brand yourself as 3, that's a very expansive sign. It's a very expansive name, lucky, blessings all around, fame, fortune, all of that falls in Jupiter, right? So why would you not like it? Well, Jupiter, Zeus, the god, is a pretty fickle dude, and if you're not deserving of the name, you don't really get anything from it. Just like expansion happens when expansion wants to happen. If you're not really in the realm of spirituality, or you're not actually in your best place, this name might actually not grow you, which is not really a problem. That's not really a negative, okay? Because everybody should be doing something that makes them the happiest, that makes them come alive, that they're made to do. And then Jupiter will support that. So if you are doing exactly what you're meant to be doing, putting your name as a 3 will expand it. Like the 1, it can be a little bit shallow to people. They might not feel the depth. They could also think that you're a little arrogant. So if you don't want those kind of things on you, then I wouldn't pick it. But at the same time, like, are those really that bad when it comes to branding yourself? They're pretty good, actually. Four. Four is Uranus, okay? It's also Rahu, which is the North Node. So these are kind of interesting together because Uranus is like rebellion and higher-minded genius. It's like the pinnacle of it. Uranus actually is the god of the sky, okay? He was the sky, the personification of the sky. So he's like attaching yourself to all of that knowledge, all of that energy up there. But Rahu is the North Node. That's a lot about building and attaching to your energy. So if you think about 4, it's a lot about building and enlightenment. It's about having all of your energy being built up to a very powerful place, but it could also mean, if you brand yourself this way, that you're rebuilding yourself. And so if this is your brand name, it might take a while for things to actually happen, for you to actually build up. But when you get up there, as long as you've done everything right, you won't fall because you have a rock to stand on. So if this is your branding name, there might be a point where you're like, okay, I built a stable foundation, now where do I go? And maybe it even makes you feel like you're playing a game of enlightenment so much it's like perfectionism, and you have to do it all right, and you can't be creative with this energy. If you think about it too, Uranus ruling Aquarius is like the opposite of Leo, so you're kind of being the same as everybody else. You're homogenizing yourself with the 4. And if you're into that, like if you're doing something that needs to kind of fit in with the crowd, 4 is a perfect number for you there. Now, say you are 22-4, that is a master number, and there's a lot more power to the 24 as a name because you're bringing in that double feminine moon energy. This is very, very divine feminine energy. And so it's a very good number if you are getting people to come inside of you. Yeah, that sounded weird. You're really wanting people to come to you. So that's a good like business name for people, like if you have an actual physical business. Yet actually I think it's better on the internet because of the Uranus aspect. But it's not always good to be living in North Node Rahu energy all the time. I know that sounds weird because where we reach our happiness, but if you haven't lived up to that, it can just be sort of unhappy. Five. If you are branding yourself with a 5 name, 5 is ruled by Mercury, which is speaking, talking, communicating, all of that jazz. It's your mental stuff. So if you are doing anything that requires you to be smart, you should brand yourself with a 5 name. Yeah, 5 also is about changing things and breeds a little bit of chaos. You see, Mercury is the trickster god, so there is a trickstery type name to 5. So negatively, people may not trust your brand if you are a 5, not 10, 5. But at the same time, they might be very intrigued in the things that you have to say. So it just depends. You need to be considered trustworthy in your brand. Not everybody does. Not everybody has to have a brand where they're completely trusted. Sometimes it's just about you putting out your mental understanding of things. Now, 6. If you are a 6, that is Venus, okay? So Venus is It's my lady Venus, right? Divine Venus. That's my girl. I like her, Aphrodite. Here we have the number that wants things to be beautiful and wants power in a physical sense, okay? And when I say a physical sense is because Venus is love on earth. That's why it's also sex. When you have love and sex, you express your love in a physical way. So it's a very romantic name. So if you want people to come to you because they see you as a physical power, a physical beauty, 6 always is a much more positive number for anybody who's in business, and it's because you want people to trust you. Now on the negative side, it is very feminine. So if you're not actually selling something that is feminine, you are going to probably deter masculine energy from it, unless that masculine energy is sort of into it. You know, like obviously you can't really sell stuff to masculine energy. They won't be buying it, but they might like to look at it. Does that make sense? Because of the Venusian energy in the 6. So now if you are a 33-6 as your expression number, this is all about the 3. So it's like Jupiter and Jupiter, right? Jupiter, Jupiter, Venus. So this would really, really push you forward a lot of expansive energy. That can kind of come off as a little hoish, but not like, you know, like you're a hoe. Like if you wanted to run your hoe business, I guess the 33-6 name would be really good. But if you think about it, you're like, Venus is like, come hither. And then it's like, damn, you really want the entire world to come to you. I'm even thinking if you were selling mattresses and you had a 33-6 name, you'd probably sell a shit ton of mattresses, right? Or like sex toys. I mean, just something to do with that area, you know, the bedroom. It's not weird, okay? We're grown-ups, hopefully. Does your mom know you're watching this? So 7 is ruled by Neptune, but it's also ruled by the South Node. So how does this fit? So Neptune is this illusion and delusion and spirituality. It's the number, say, of heaven, but sometimes it's also the number of hell. A lot of 7 energy positively is unconditional love. So if you're selling something very, you know, beautiful and spiritual, it'd be good, but also on the negative end, if it's not done from the kindness of your heart, it can be very bad and people can look at you like unconditional fear. And there we go with this K2 South Node energy is all about the past, your karmic relationship with your past and that coming forward. 7 is good if you yourself are coming from a good place. Also, if you are trying to sell something religious, spiritual, karmic, something maybe to even heal. If you're a healer, it could be really good. It just, I would be very wary of 7. I mean, you asked me, okay? Be very wary of 7 if you are not coming from a place of goodness. It will be highly destructive, and I think people might even be just afraid to even look at your brand, if that makes sense. So you just make sure you're clean. Make sure you're clean. Take a shower, bitch. The 8 number. Now the 8 is ruled by Saturn. Okay, so this is a very restrictive, authoritative number. 8 is good if you need it. And if you're doing something in a very in that kind of business sense, a lot of people choose this in branding, which is great, but it also means you have to work extra hard to make anything come for you, okay? But once you get it, you have a lot of power. You have a lot of authority. So if you need that and you're willing to work for it, go ahead, brand yourself as an 8. 8 doesn't really appear trustworthy all the time. It seems like you really need to prove yourself. And so I just make you think about that. Now, if you're a 44-8, that has the double 4, which is also that Rahu North Node, Uranus energy. This is just adding a lot of power to you. This is sort of a God name, 44-8, which sounds awesome, but you have to realize when you are branding yourself, like what are you putting off into the world? What are you trying to make people think of? What do you want your energy to be so hardcore that most people run away and hide when they see it? That would be a 44-8. Also, you'd have to work for it. But the power does eventually come if you can keep it up, okay? Nine. Nine is Mars. And so Mars energy is, fast-paced. It actually burns out quickly, but then restarts again, because 9 is kind of in its own right a little bit like 1. It's the ending, but it's the beginning. 8 sometimes can feel more like the ending of anything, and 9 is sort of transmuting that and going into new energy, like death to birth. So sometimes you can actually think of that 9 energy as a 1 energy, except that it's not masculine as much as it's an entity. If you're branding yourself as a 9, there is an ending and a beginning to what you do, a change that always will occur within your brand. So it's not something that you can think will always be the same, that you'll always stick with it. If you were planning to do something for 5 years, a 9 would be really good because you'll shoot out with that energy, like that Mars energy of just fire and passion, and like you give a shit, and then it will go back down to to losing all of your energy and having to regain it back again. So if you want just a short blip of something, 9 is actually really good. I recommend 9, but not forever, unless it's like forever you're going to be doing different things. So that is all about, your name and branding your name with the numbers. And yeah, if you liked videos like this, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like videos, go away. I say if you don't like videos. If you don't like videos like this, go away. Nobody asked you. Actually, they did, because they put a thumbs down so that I know. Anyway, I really love conversations like this. I think these are one of the most fun topics, is how do you get numerology and astrology and all of that into branding yourself, because branding is fun. But if you want any more videos on branding that have to do with astrology, let me know. I can help you out with those. Anyway, I will talk to you later.